Filling a planting hole with plain soil and hoping fertilizer later will fix everything is one of the fastest ways to guarantee weak roots, stalled growth, and disappointing harvests. You see it play out the same way every season. Plants look fine at first, then mid-season problems show up. Blossom end rot on tomatoes, pale leaves, slow fruiting. By the time those symptoms appear, the real mistake is already buried underground. The planting hole isn't just a place to hold the plant. It's where the entire season is set in motion. What you put there determines how quickly roots establish, how efficiently nutrients cycle, and how resilient your plants are when conditions get tough. The first few minutes of planting matter more than the next 3 months. Roots don't grow into soil blindly. They respond to what they encounter. If the environment is biologically active and mineral balanced, they expand fast and aggressively. If it's compacted, lifeless, or chemically unbalanced, they hesitate, stall, and stay shallow. That early hesitation costs you weeks of growth, and in a growing season, weeks matter. Once a plant falls behind at the root level, you spend the rest of the season trying to compensate from above with feeding schedules, foliar sprays, and extra watering. It's reactive instead of proactive. There's a simpler way to set it up correctly from the start. 2 free inputs quietly outperform expensive fertilizers. Used coffee grounds and a properly diluted wood ash extract do something most bagged products just don't. They build the system that feeds the plant instead of just dumping nutrients into the soil. Coffee grounds drive biology, while wood ash provides minerals. Together, they create a root zone that's active, balanced, and ready to support rapid growth. Individually, each one has limitations, but when you combine them correctly, they solve each other's problems. Coffee grounds wake up the soil instead of feeding the plant directly. Used coffee grounds are often misunderstood. They're not a strong fertilizer, and relying on them alone won't push heavy growth. What they do extremely well, though, is stimulate microbial life. That microbial activity is what turns organic matter into plant-available nutrients. Without it, even nutrient-rich soil can underperform. When you add a small amount of coffee grounds into the planting hole, you're feeding bacteria and fungi that kickstart nutrient cycling. Earthworms are drawn to it as well, and once they move in, soil structure improves quickly. The amount matters. A loose handful, around 20 to 30 grams, is enough for a standard planting hole. Work it into the lower portion of the hole, not right up against the roots. You're building a zone beneath the plant that becomes active as roots grow downward. In backyard gardens, this translates to soil that holds moisture better and becomes visibly darker and looser within a couple of weeks. In raised beds where biology often drops off after repeated use, this can act like a reset at each planting point. Wood ash extract delivers essential minerals without the risk. Raw wood ash is concentrated. It's rich in calcium, potassium, and magnesium, but applying it directly is where people go wrong. Too much in one spot raises pH and can damage young roots. Turning it into an extract changes how it behaves. A tablespoon of clean wood ash mixed into about a liter of water creates a mild mineral solution. After stirring and letting it settle, the liquid carries dissolved nutrients without the harshness of solid ash. Pouring about a cup, roughly 200 to 300 milliliters, into the planting hole allows those minerals to soak into the surrounding soil evenly. Calcium supports strong cell walls and prevents issues like blossom end rot. Potassium drives flowering and fruit development. Magnesium supports chlorophyll production and overall plant energy. Getting these into the root zone early is what prevents deficiencies instead of reacting to them later. The combination works because it balances biology and chemistry. Coffee grounds alone can sometimes tie up nitrogen if overused, and don't provide much immediate mineral content. Wood ash alone can disrupt pH and lacks biological support. But when used together in the right amounts, the biology stimulated by the coffee grounds helps regulate and distribute the minerals from the ash extract. Microbes process and buffer those inputs, making them available without overwhelming the plant. This creates a stable microenvironment where roots expand quickly and consistently. It's not about feeding the plant directly, it's about building a system that keeps feeding it all season. So, here's how this plays out in a real garden bed. In a backyard setup, digging a hole about twice the width of the root ball gives you room to create that environment. Loosen the soil at the bottom, mix in your small handful of coffee grounds, then pour in the wood ash extract and give it a moment to soak in. Place the plant, backfill with the original soil, and water it in as usual. There's really no need to overcomplicate it with layers or additional inputs. Simplicity is what makes this reliable. Within the first week, you'll notice stronger establishment compared to untreated plants. By the third or fourth week, the difference becomes more obvious. Deeper green leaves, thicker stems, and just faster upward growth. Raised beds show results even faster. Raised beds tend to drain quickly and lose nutrients faster than in-ground soil, especially after multiple growing cycles. This method creates concentrated zones of activity where each plant sits. Because the ash extract disperses evenly through the looser structure of raised beds, and the coffee grounds help retain moisture and feed microbes, the effect shows up quickly. Over time, as roots spread and microbial life expands, those individual zones connect. By the end of the season, the entire bed benefits, not just the original planting spots. Hydroponic growers can still apply the principle. Strict hydroponics doesn't use soil, but the underlying idea still matters. Roots need balanced minerals and a supportive environment. In hybrid systems using coco coir or other media, you can pre-treat the media with a very diluted version of the ash extract to introduce calcium and potassium before planting. Coffee grounds aren't added directly to nutrient solutions, but in systems that incorporate organic components, they can be composted into the media beforehand to introduce microbial life. The goal isn't to copy the exact process. It's to understand the interaction between biological activity and mineral availability. What changes when you stick with this for multiple seasons? The first season, you'll see stronger growth and fewer visible deficiencies. By the second, the soil begins to transform. It becomes more crumbly, retains moisture better, and responds more predictably to watering. By the third season, the system stabilizes. Earthworms become more active, organic matter breaks down faster, and nutrients cycle instead of washing away. At that point, you're no longer trying to fix problems. You're maintaining a system that works. Where this goes wrong if you ignore the details. Using too many coffee grounds can create dense patches that repel water and slow root growth. Keep the amount small and well distributed. Applying raw ash directly into the hole can spike pH and damage roots. Always use it in diluted form. Ash from treated or painted wood introduces harmful compounds and should never be used in food-growing soil, and this method won't revive completely dead or contaminated soil overnight. It builds performance over time, not instantly. Building the root zone correctly removes half your problems. Plants respond to access, not effort. You can pour time and money into feeding schedules, but if the root zone isn't set up properly, results will always be limited. When biology and minerals are balanced from the start, growth becomes consistent, problems reduce, and yields improve without constant intervention. That's the difference between managing plants and building a system that supports them. Subscribe to Gardening Simplified for more practical methods that actually improve how your soil performs, and share this with someone who's tired of chasing problems instead of preventing them at the root.